Morning everyone. Today I'm on location here at Rockbridge State Nature Preserve. It's a fairly small state nature preserve here in Ohio, located about central southeastern Ohio area here in Hocking County, and I'm really looking forward to it just because I've seen some pictures online, and like most locations that's how I find out about them, quite often by accident actually, but this one in particular it actually has I believe the largest natural bridge here in Ohio, so as the name suggests, Rockbridge. And so it's actually at the very far end of the trail here, and so I'm gonna be just hiking it. Quick morning here, I'm just checking it out. The lighting's very pleasant. We got lots of soft diffused light. Sun has already risen well over an hour ago, but it's just obscured by all these clouds behind me here, and so that means that photography should be plentiful, hopefully at least. I also think there's a couple waterfalls or different kind of streams that are flowing within the preserve here as well, just from, once again, pictures I've seen previously in researching this location. So yeah, that's pretty much what I'm gonna be looking forward to the most here in early autumn. We still got lots of goldenrod, as you can see, lining the field at this, the trailhead from here onwards, and some asters and some teasel. So just some early autumn plants are still hanging around here. Lots of birdsong as well, as I can hear, like red-winged blackbird I heard just a moment ago. So they must be just about ready to take their migration down south, and I think some goldfinch and some other different species, I believe. And there's actually a few nest boxes erected along here, which I'm going to assume are for bluebird nest box trail, or it could be, I guess, tree swallows as well, since they're both native species here to the state. Lots of cool things I'm looking forward to seeing here, and I'm the first one here for the morning, so I got the whole place to myself so far, and hopefully you get some good shots for the day, and something to write home about, I guess. So let's go ahead and get started. Alright, so my first photograph or composition of the day is actually something a little bit unexpected, which is of course welcome. I welcome these kind of surprises, but it's actually going to be this landscape image, this grouping arrangement of trees up here, and it just caught my eye as I was making my way onto the end of the boardwalk here, and once we hit the woodland path, pretty ways in now into this nature preserve. I just like the line and the arrangement just from the viewpoint up here against this fence line up here. So I zoomed in, I extended my tripod legs pretty far out because I did the first section on this fourth section column tripod, and it was just too low to the ground, and it was incorporating the fence line in here, which I could definitely try that if I wanted to, but I just didn't want to, simply for this image and what I had in mind at least. So I extended a little bit farther down, and I got the second section of legs extended, not fully, but pretty close. I'd say about 3/4 of the way fully extended. And so I just zoomed all the way in. I'm at about 35mm lens, 16 to 35mm wide angle lens, but I'm at 35mm on my focal length. And I leveled my tripod using the electronic built-in level, and it creates this kind of sloping arrangement, like almost like the horizon line or whatever in the field over here is just dropping out. And there's a little bit of goldenrod that you can see in the lower left-hand corner as well. That's just more in the mid-ground up here, and then up here is where obviously the foreground would be, but since I'm zooming in so much, you're not really going to quite see that much on here. So but it works out pretty well, I think. It's nice, pleasing, like I said, soft light, soft diffused light, but it's got this nice blue sky with some clouds up above this line of trees up here, and yeah, it's just a nice one of those pleasing, aesthetically pleasing kind of images. A nice little icebreaker, I think, to start off the day here at the nature preserve, and hopefully we'll get some more exciting images, I guess, coming up here pretty soon. But this is a nice way to break the ice and kind of get the creative juices flowing a little bit more. And so I opted for my settings to be about f11, just because there is a lot of depth and distance in between the camera and the subject matter that I'm focusing on here, but there's not really that much else going on in the image besides that, so especially since I'm zoomed in so far ahead. And for my shutter, I'm at about 1/8 of a second in ISO 100, so pretty nice and simple. 2-second timer. I do have a polarizer filter on there as well, but it's really not necessary, I think, for the image, but it does kind of deepen and saturate the colors as always. So keep it nice and simple, and I'll make my way on the trail once I take a couple more shots of this subject matter here. But so far, it's pretty nice, quiet morning out here. Nice hearing all the bird song. I've heard about 8 species total, especially some migratory species like common yellowthroat, eastern towhee. I have a few good close looks at it, actually, and yeah, it's been pretty nice so far. So I'm gonna keep going here in a moment and see what the rest of the Rockbridge has to offer. I love how at the top of a really big hill you have to climb, they always give you a bench because it's like they just know you're going to be tired. So I should have mentioned, but I forgot to at the beginning of the video, but this is my first visit here, so all of this is new to me. Looks like we're going downhill now. At least it's a little easier than uphill, but some sunlight peeking through the trees over here. So yeah, anyway, sorry. One thing I've been noticing lately is actually that, and this could be something I feel like most photographers can relate, is that we all kind of have our favorite lenses depending on what genre or whatever we do. And I've been noticing a lot lately that I've been kind of relying, almost over relying on this 16-35 f4, this wide angle lens, because it is probably my favorite lens. If I had to choose one lens, it's a nice walk around lens, doesn't weigh a ton, and the focal length is pretty diverse and varied, that you can take a variety of shots, landscapes, a few, not really telephoto, it's not telephoto range, but stuff that's a little more closer up. And yeah, I've taken some of my best shots with it so far. And so I don't know, it's just one of those tough things to really think about and consider, and I kind of question whether or not this is something that, like, I always want to be using that lens and like not really making the same shots I should be. I want to do something that's different and more expressive at the same time, and not overly rely on using the same camera gear day in and day out with all my trips. So it's kind of just something to think about. Maybe if you are so used to using one lens, maybe if you have, I'd like to think you had more than one, at least a couple in your arsenal, to switch it up and try something different. You might be surprised with the results. And so it's just something I've been noticing lately, and maybe something to think about, shifting away from using that lens, put it away for a while, keep it at home maybe even, and yeah, just try out different lens choices, and you'd be surprised at the creative possibilities you can come up with when you do such a thing. So I know it's worked for me in the past, but I've just been noticing lately maybe it's long overdue and I need to try this this intentional kind of like exercise again. So something to keep in mind at least, but something I've been thinking about all of a sudden since I arrived here, and I'm only carrying around my tripod and my wide angle simply because I just want to reduce pack load. I'm already pretty exhausted as is. See, all the foliage is starting to change, nice on the hillside. And just a little bit ago while I was talking, where I stopped for a moment, I was looking because there's two red blazes on different trees, like going different directions, basically a fork in the road, and I was trying to remember which way is which. I mean, either way is fine, but I believe the way I'm going here is going to take me to the actual Rockbridge, which is going to be really cool to see. So hopefully I can get some shots in, and at the very least check it out. So I'm really looking forward to it. And all right, so I keep getting distracted here, but composition number 2, I'm doing this felled tree trunk right along as it meets over here on the trail next to this tree with the red blaze on it. So it's just going straight across what looks like a creek bed. It's all dried up though, unfortunately, but it looks out pretty well, I think, for a composition. And I just realized, and it doesn't really show, but there's another one actually just beyond it. But I guess with the way my tripod's set up, the height and just where my distance is and my placement here, you really can't see the other one, but that's okay. It actually lines up, almost perfectly, I guess, too. So I'm just doing one of it straight across there. I'm about 16 millimeters, and I was at settings of, I did 5 seconds, and it left some highlights and some blinkies, as you call them, in the sky above, even though it is pretty, soft diffused light, of course, still. And I did about F11 to get all the distance in between that foreground and everything in the background in focus as much as I can. And then ISO 100. That way I just minimize the noise that you may generate from being in this dark shadowed woodland now as we're in the shade here. So worked out pretty well, I guess. Just nice, simple kind of frame filling just right in the center of the image. It's not really the most exciting, most stimulating to look at, for a composition, but it works out pretty well. And it's just a neat little tree, I guess, detail that stuck out to me, I guess, as I was walking, and it made me stop and kind of take a second look, which I felt like I was warranting it, getting an image, I guess, out of it simply. So that worked out pretty well, but I'm gonna keep going here now and see what else we can get at Rockbridge here before I even get to Rockbridge itself, which hopefully that'll be here soon, I think. Hopefully, at least. All right, so I finally found Rockbridge. stunning. You know, like I said, with just the wet, saturated leaves and everything surrounding it from last night's rainfall, just kind of adds a bit of pop and color, especially for like early autumn here, where everything's still mostly green. Just some hints of like yellow and like an auburn red and orange or brown color. But yeah, this is something. I already walked halfway across, just looking down the ravine down here and everything. That looks really stunning as well. I believe there's a trail. Actually, it looks like there's a sign marker down this way, and a trail that goes underneath the bridge, and it takes you down to this almost like a gorge area. So I may check that out next. It looks like some ivy and some vines hanging off there too, which is just adds that little bit of character and kind of life to the actual subject here, the natural formation. But yeah, it's really cool. This is really cool. This is something special. I've never seen this quite before. Something this unique in here in Ohio, which is pretty cool. And so I'm very fortunate I get to actually see it in person and photograph it finally. Alright, so settings. This is pretty deeply shaded in the woodland here. I've been doing about 6 to 8 seconds for a shutter. Keeping my settings mostly consistent with what I've been doing today, so about f11. I'm finding it fair enough to get everything. It's a very small aperture, and that means everything's going to be in focus, or at least more details can be let out, I guess, versus the background and Rockbridge itself. I may opt for a wider aperture, maybe something like f9, maybe even f8 if I feel like it, just to put some more emphasis on the mid-ground where the Rockbridge is, at least for my position up here, unless if I change and move around at least. But I don't know, that's what I'm thinking at least right now. And then I'm also ISO 800, which is working out pretty well for this, I'd say. And yeah, it's pretty nice. Just I'm gonna keep wandering around, just probably working all the angles and everything like I do with a subject like this, and seeing what I could really simply come up with, I guess. But I feel like one of the waterfalls is actually supposed to be dropping off down into the gorge or the ravine here, so, but I'm not seeing any flow, unfortunately. So unless if there's a different spot I'm not aware of and I haven't seen yet on my way back on the sloop trail, if there is, I'll let you know. But this is so cool nonetheless. So I'm gonna probably spend a considerable amount of time here and just photographing and just checking out this place, this particular spot that is in the nature preserve. And I will see you guys in a little bit. Honestly, it might even be more impressive from underneath, just seeing this hulking mass that you're actually able to walk across, and it's older than you and I, which is quite spectacular. But now I'm in this ravine here, and you can just see how it's just clearly carved away by glacial meltwaters, and just the way it just kind of pulls down into here even, and it's just, yeah. Alright, so now I'm on the 1 mile rock shelter trail. It's following the blue blazes instead of the red ones that lead you to Rockbridge. And this is the second trail that is, and the last one I'm doing here today at the nature preserve. But I'm just making my way down these hills, doing these various switchbacks that are basically just ease you down to lower elevation instead of just going straight downhill or uphill, which would be a lot more strenuous. And so I already did a few of those earlier with massive tree roots just spreading and sprawled out across all of the trail there. And it was a pretty wide trail, but still, it's a point there. I think I actually just found the waterfall though. It's merely a trickle though, so it's not really worth any shot at all. But I think this is where the spot is, I believe. But you're not really allowed, I mean, you're not allowed off trail, of course, but like down here even, I don't know how you get down there to situate a shot. I mean, this is probably the closest vantage point I can get to, and it's even still at an angle, and it's just not really worthwhile, I think, for what I'm particularly after. But it's totally okay, because I know I got nailed down some shots of Rockbridge, of course. I'm bracketing, doing some various exposures at various angles, that is. And not only that, but I did get a couple other shots that were surprises, and the ones that weren't really, I don't want to say they weren't necessarily unique to this area and this location, but there's something that's a little bit different, and they're not really like my goal for like coming to this location like Rockbridge or the waterfall is. So yeah, totally okay. It's very peaceful morning out here, just seeing the rays of light now as it's starting to sun just right through the woodland here, and just seeing the bands of light just pouring out over the wet foliage and leaves on the canopy floor and everything. It's very stunning. So I'm really glad I came here. It's a really cool place. It's not terribly big too, like the miles of trails, I think it's like less than 2.5, maybe 3 miles at max. And so and you actually get some meandering this river over here views as well, which is pretty cool. So there's a whole lot here, and maybe just because I'm on a weekday morning, there's not a lot of people here. Actually, I haven't seen anyone for that fact. So very, very cool. I'm very glad I came here. I can't wait to look at these shots more closely on the computer, and of course share them in the video as always with you guys. So I'm gonna keep making my way on this trail and check out what this supposed rock shelter is. I have no idea. I've never seen a picture of it before. I'm not even sure what it looks like, but pretty sure it would be pretty obvious to point out, and you know, I guess I'll find it. So can't go wrong with that, right? You know, as long as I stick to the trail. So see, this is what I mean about switchback, is that people often will what they call shortcutting, and just take like basically a halfway mark, however long the switchback or the trail is, and they'll just go straight up it. And you can see where it's pretty well worn in this part of the trail here, and then it goes up to that higher point where those 3 trees are. So, but if the proper way to do it is you go a long way, which I know that may seem, if you're really tired or physically inept to, you know, make it up this far, is that you got to take this long way for the environment, because it's more important. It reduces trail erosion, and you're also disturbing, you know, if there is any sensitive plant matter and materials or species, and you got to take the long way. And see that side, that shortcut over there wasn't blazed. This is. See, there's the arrows pointing your direction, and see, you take the shortcut up. And honestly, you'll probably feel a lot better. You're sure you're taking like more steps to get up there, but like you're taking a much more gradual ascent or descent, you know, along the trail here and along the switchback. So it may seem tempting to take the shortcuts, but just don't do it. That's all I can say. So I just finished the rock shelter loop trail. I did not see it, and I'm not sure if it's because of all the foliage and the leafed out canopy, if that was like obscuring it, but I did not see it at all, whatever a rock shelter is. So, oh well. It's a pretty big hill up and down to get to it, or along that loop trail, so I'm not too concerned about doing it again. Sorry. So it's just amazing to think how much far we've come from the deep woodlands there, and just going down into the gorge down there, and just seeing that amazing rock bridge is really cool. And you don't even see it from here. That's the weird thing about it. You just see the hills over here in the farmland situated off to the side here. But yeah, this place, it gets my seal of approval. It's honestly really awesome. It's a pretty strenuous hike. It's not many miles of trail, but it's very, very rugged terrain, up hills and downhill and everything in between. So it's been great. I got some pretty good photos, I think, and I'm really glad I finally got to check out this place for the first time. So thanks so much for watching, everyone. This has been Rockbridge State Nature Preserve, and until next time, make sure to get out here. Thank you.